Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the Sounds of the Hardwood podcast. In today's episode, we'll be going over the Eastern Conference playoff standings, potential matchups in the playoffs, and the Western Conference playing games as those have already been set. So, how everybody been doing today? How you been enjoying your weekend?
Good, good. Ready for these games.
Yeah, yeah, definitely excited for these games. Excited for this time of the season in general.
I'm not excited. I don't give a fuck about this time of the season. I don't care.
Best
I
thing
give
you got
no
going
fuck
right now
about
is
this
Mac
time of the season.
McClung signed
I
a
don't give no
two-way
fucks.
contract.
I do not care about this time of the season. I should have started
And
off
you
with
know
a
what?
number.
We're gonna. I think we should give you like what would we say, guys? Like 3 to 4 minutes at the end of the podcast to let you just let it all
I
out,
don't.
bro.
I'm not letting nothing out.
Because
I'm not.
I know
I'm
you
not
got
letting nothing out.
a
I'm not
very
letting
good
anything out.
opinion on what happened, what's going on.
Nope.
Because until what a week ago, y'all was still kind of
See,
could have battled for the
nah,
play it at least.
no.
I vote for a 10-second vote of silence, just a
That's what I
prayer.
said. That's what I
for the
said. I was gonna say. I was gonna start off with a
La-
prayer, a moment of silence, a eulogy, a wake,
Uh-huh.
because I don't really want to talk about the Lakers at this
But
point.
I mean, but your guy Magic went on what first take? He get up first take and went crazy during the week, talking about if they had DeRozan and this and that. He threw that
We
organization
see
under the
why he's
bus.
not in charge anymore. He's over there
Yeah,
trying to
he
make
threw
like
him
fake
under the
deals that you
bus.
can't even make, like salary
Word.
wise. And I'm like, how in the hell are you going to
Okay.
keep KCP, Caruso, then get DeRozan, then get
What
Buddy
happened
Hield?
was-
Like it ain't gonna happen.
What happened was they were originally going to get DeMar DeRozan. They was gonna get, because I remember when
But
Soto
Braun
first
had the
said
Westbrook
something
thing
about
already.
Russell.
Yeah,
Had
you
that-
chose
Had
that dinner at the
You went-
house. You know what I mean?
you went the Westbrook route instead of
I thought they
somebody
were
more
going to go
better.
DeMar DeRozan,
better
and
mid-range.
possibly trade for Buddy Hield. I was fine with those combinations, but then the Russell Westbrook came.
You went with somebody's skills that are deteriorating as fast as Blake
So
Griffin
I
and
was
DeAndre Jordan.
trying to get that man some hope. You know what I mean, I was like, he might be okay. He might make it work. And then this man just hit me with just arguing with reporters for a whole 82 game season. I don't know why he was so upset. They just trying to do their job, sir.
Yeah.
When he made that comment about this not real life, this a game. I'm like, so how the fuck are you playing the game then? Is somebody else playing for you? This is your real life. But I'm gonna leave that man alone. He going through something right now. I'm not gonna stress on that. AD, I just want him to get healthy. Okay, because that street clothes nickname is starting to stick.
Anti-durability.
Okay. He need to get healthy.
AKA
LeBron,
made of glass.
LeBron like
AKA
damn
made
near
of glass.
40, doing all he can to help the team win games, but it's still his fault at the same time.
No, it's not. We know whose fault it was.
I don't know. Frank Vogel, you got to go. I'm sorry.
Nah, man. You all right? Let's
It's
hold
not-
on.
it's not Vogel, and I've said it.
Vogel. Vogel is a defensive coach.
You got to go.
What kind of damn scheme are you going to put together defensively with Carmelo Anthony,
His
I agree with
Russell
that.
Westbrook?
His-
LeBron doesn't even jog past half court half the time.
his-
Like, how are you going to put together a defensive team?
We-
Like, you
we-
didn't even give that man a chance to put
There's
together
no
a
defenders
roster.
in the NBA right now. It's not like when you looked at this offseason. it was
So Mikal
stacked full of
Bridges is a
defenders.
defender? Like, there's
But
defenders.
he's on a team. He's not
you
coming
mean
to the
free
Lakers.
agents
Yeah,
wise
like, I
that
mean,
they can
like
go after. Okay.
option wise, they don't have the ability to go snag a good defender. So they had to.
You could have
make
made a
the
better
best that they
decision than
could.
Kendrick Nunn.
You had a better
You
chance.
could have
to
made
get it.
better choices.
You had a better
Nobody knew
chance.
Kendrick
Lakers
Nunn.
had a better
You
chance.
could
to
have
get a better
traded Taylor
defender.
Horton Tucker.
Nobody knew
Instead
Kendrick
of-
Nunn.
Soak it
was gonna
in,
be
Keem.
there.
They could have traded for John Wall, who's a better defender than Russell Westbrook, and they said no.
I know the Knicks fan ain't trying to chime in here. We gotta talk about Knicks trades in recent history.
Hey,
At one point in
have-
time, Chris Duhon was y'all starting point guard. Remember that combination? Chris Duhon, Landry
Yes,
Fields,
that was
Ronaldo Blackman. Do I have to name that roster?
that's actually, believe it or not, you're gonna laugh at that, but the GM for the Knicks
here's the
that did those
biggest
trades
difference
is
between
with
the
the
Knicks
Nuggets.
and the Lakers. There is expectations.
Whoa,
Lakers
Knicks
were supposed to
fan-
be championship bound.
Most
and
Knicks fans go to every Knicks season.
Knicks-
thinking
Knicks
y'all
are
gonna win
rebuilding.
championships, okay? Most Knicks fans go
Knicks
into
are
Knicks
rebuilding.
seasons thinking
Lakers
they're
are
gonna win championships.
expected to win champs.
All right, real quick, because I'm just gonna throw it to you, Keem. Like, so as far as because we already know what the Lakers are now.
Okay.
This off season, what's your number one move that you do? Like, is it Westbrook trying to trade him, or what do you do?
Okay. Because I don't want to spend the whole time on this because I know we got.
That's why I was trying to jump to
my playoff. This is about the playoffs. We don't know that word right now, so
Yeah, I did, but
you can't trade Russell because I don't know who we're gonna want him. Like if I said I knew an exact team that would be willing to trade for Russell Westbrook, where the Lakers are going to get something back that's going to help them, I would say that. Yeah, but Houston would probably be giving up John Wall, who he hasn't played in a year. So
what about Charlotte?
We're hoping. Charlotte. I don't know who they're going to give us, who they would give back. I mean,
Hayward.
It's not going to be Bridges.
Harold.
It's probably not going to be LaMelo. You know those untouchable. Hayward's always hurt.
Would it be Terry Rozier?
Terry Rozier. I mean,
Scary Terry.
Maybe, but
Scary Terry.
I wouldn't do that.
I mean, him and Devontae Graham is like the Spider-Man meme. It's like they're basically the same players. So
yeah, you have nights where he'll be on, and then you have nights where he'll go.
So I don't know.
2 for 20.
The unfortunate reality is the Lakers don't have a lot of flexibility with this current roster, like trade wise and things of that nature.
That's also Pelinka's fault, so he got to take blame for that too.
But you can't fire Pelinka. I mean, that's harder to replace a GM.
I wouldn't say fire him, but it is his fault.
Harder to fire him.
It is his fault. It's Westbrook and his fault mostly. I'll be honest.
They probably gonna fire Vogel. I mean, I feel like that.
Oh, that's an absolute guarantee. He'll be fired. That shit will be announced day after the
He's gonna get fired on his day off, Craig.
That's gonna be
I don't want Doc Rivers as a coach. I don't want to see Frank.
Yeah, you don't want that.
Doc Rivers get fired. They can come coach the Lakers. I don't want to do that. I don't really want to see Quinn Snyder get fired either. I think he's doing a good job in Utah, but that's an option if it happens.
Quinn Snyder's gonna go to the Spurs. We know that already.
Now, since we're in the West, we might as well stay in the West and talk about teams that actually did something with their season this year. Shut up, Soto, because I know you're gonna say something about your Spurs. You want to introduce this segment, because I know you're coming in high.
Go ahead, Soto. Talk about your Spurs, boy.
You already
I think he's also
ready to talk about the Spurs.
I think he also made a face when I said that comment too, because they say Quinn Snyder's rumored to go back to the Spurs too. So.
No, I don't care about Quinn Snyder. All I care about is the Spurs. I mean, they're not going anywhere in the playoffs, but I did have them going into the playoffs. I think, you did. Yeah, and I think Pelicans are going to be a good matchup, but I think the Spurs take that, and I mean, eventually they're going to lose to the Phoenix Suns. That's a gimme. So,
you think they're going to win a game, or is it going to be 4-1
against Phoenix? Yeah. Maybe they could probably sneak in a game, but it's going to be an ass whooping.
Now, do you think so? If the Spurs beat the Pelicans, can they beat either Minnesota or the Clippers? Because it's not automatic that they make it. They got to beat the loser of that matchup.
Right. See, that's tough.
I think the Spurs give Minnesota a run for their money.
But here's the thing, though. Down the stretch, Minnesota was hot. And they became one of the better teams in the NBA. And then with the Clippers.
Well, defensively, too. They improved. The
Clippers, they just got Powell back. They just got Paul George back, and it's like that's a tough situation there too.
Kawhi's in there somewhere lingering around, not wanting practices to be recorded. He's doing something.
He can't play.
He's doing something.
Kawhi's not ready yet. They say he still hasn't progressed to 3-on-3, so he's not coming yet.
Well, if you go and look at New Orleans, what I worry about is Brandon Ingram's missed the past 2 games with the hamstring.
Mm-hmm.
The prior 5 games, he's shooting 20% from 3, 43% from the field. And you've got McCollum there, you've got Valanciunas, but you've also got a surging Spurs team with Devin Vassell. You've got Josh Richardson coming into his own on the team, has really been a spark for them. Obviously, DeJounte Murray. You have pieces there that can kind of get past New Orleans if Brandon Ingram's not right. But then you're facing probably, I would say, Minnesota, because I think the Clippers take out Minnesota unless it's somehow like Paul George is off, and starts hitting the side of the goal again. With Minnesota, you've got the combo of Anthony Edwards, who went off last game, Karl-Anthony Towns, who's a threat every night. The worry I have is D'Angelo Russell and how he's going to fit in, because he's been in and out of the lineup a bunch. And so if you don't have Russell at full strength, that means you've got to rely on Malik Beasley, who's been hit or miss off the bench all season. And so it's kind of like, where's that third scoring option going to come? So there's a real chance that the Spurs could end up winning out and then end up in that A seed. So I could realistically see that happening. The Pelicans, I don't think that's going to happen unless they get magic from CJ McCollum and Valanciunas, but we'll see.
PG was on yesterday too. What you just said
was beautiful.
God. There we go. Here we go. The Spurs fan over here. Any other day of the week, Soto was a diehard Knicks fan. Now the Knicks is out of playoff contention. Now he claims the Spurs.
Oh, and I didn't even mention Keldon Johnson
and Lonnie Walker.
Nope.
Yeah, Lonnie Walker too. Lonnie Walker is a spark scorer as well. So
they got a nice young team that works together to play as well.
Well, Spurs have always been good at building teams, so you can't knock them for that.
Right.
And finding like those diamonds in the rough, they've always been known for that. So
they have a young core. I mean, obviously they're pieces away from being.
And look how they developed the Porto. To be honest with you, it's a good example.
Yeah,
that's true. Now, are y'all buying or selling this whole little Patrick Beverley, Paul George hype train of Patrick Beverley's in Paul George's head? Are you buying or selling on that one?
We'll see when the playoffs come. We'll see when the playoffs come. That's the best way to put it.
I mean, he got asked a question, and he spent a lot of time talking about that man Patrick.
Listen, Paul George was given the heat yesterday to who they were playing, so I can't say that he was not hot. He had 4 threes in the first quarter. Man was cooking.
You only saying that because you had money on that game for him, low key.
Big moments. It's tough to. It's tough for me with Paul.
Honestly, I'm gonna be real with you. I didn't think he was going to hit 5, 6 threes like that. I had 4.
Will Patrick Beverley get a tech in that game against the Clippers?
Yeah, what's he have to lose?
No Patrick Beverley slander.
He's definitely going to beat somebody.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I'm just saying it because I thought it was funny that he actually spent time addressing Patrick Beverley being in his head. Like, I really thought it was hilarious. Granted, he got asked a leading question, but it was still funny to hear him talk about Patrick Beverley. Like, wait a minute, he's not even the best player on their team. Why are we talking about Patrick Beverley?
Let's just get that matchup, the Timberwolves and the Clippers, and see what happens.
Well, I mean, look at it though. Like, Patrick Beverley's going to go up against Reggie Jackson. We know how Reggie Jackson likes to shine. Like, think he's going to shine in big moments and start jacking up shots. So if he hits, it's good, obviously. But if he's starting to break shots and takes the flow of the game away from Paul George and kind of what they're wanting to do.
Never mind me. He was breaking shots yesterday, so yeah, it happens.
I just see it like the Clippers have so many like two-way players.
They do.
With Covington, Powell, and Paul George. So it's like it's going to be rough on Minnesota,
Right.
But Minnesota improved. They were one of the worst defensive teams, and now they're in top 10, top 5 in the league, somewhere between there.
Yeah, well, they had a good
top 10
stretch, but
they did the inverse of, I call it, they did the inverse of the Knicks. So they went to one of the best.
You just wanted them into the Knicks.
It hurts. I know it hurts.
Well, no, Timberwolves. No, believe it or not, Timberwolves had 28th. I think it was 28th or 29th ranked defense last year. Now they're top. Yeah. Knicks had one of the top 5 last year, and now they're in the same spot the Timberwolves were last year. So that's how I know it.
Well, they're top 10 over the past month and a half. They're 14th in the league. So they're middling defense. Their offense improved vitally from last year.
Well, they got 3 guys that could basically drop 20 in a dime.
So just to throw it out there, in as far as it like team defense efficiency, Minnesota is ranked 13.
Okay,
and then the Clippers are ranked 9th.
Yeah,
I think that's credit to Ty Lue's schemes too. I think too. And
yeah,
coaching staff. The Clippers have to play defense to win games. They don't got a lot of offense on that team. They have no choice. But I think that playing.
I'll throw this out there too. The Lakers should have got Ty Lue. I'm just gonna throw that out there.
Right.
We could play the what if game with the Lakers all day.
Okay, I don't want to do that to the Knicks fans with that what if. I don't want to do
that. Yeah, you could do the what if.
You know what I'm saying? What if
Tom Thibodeau showed up
Curry,
this year as coach of the year?
What if y'all would have drafted Curry? Or we could have done that game. Who did y'all draft that year? I don't want to talk about.
No, we couldn't get. We would have to trade up to draft him that year.
Yeah, I know you could have. You could have traded up. Who'd you draft? You remember who that 7th pick was?
Channing Frye.
Wow. Well, how did that turn out for you?
He won a championship before Carmelo did.
Wasn't it Ronaldo Balkman?
No, Ronaldo Balkman was before that.
We're not even gonna play no more.
You're gonna make me look up all the things.
But I mean, I think the Spurs will win that 9-10 game. I'm taking Minnesota in that game only because
I feel like worse. It was Jordan Hill.
Jordan Hill, there we go.
Jordan Hill.
Oh yeah, he's going to the streets.
Because I think Channing Frye was 2005.
Jordan Hill, Channing Frye. Let's not remind the Knicks fans of the worst picks they've had. Let's remind Knicks fans that we drafted Frederick Wise over Ron Artest. So let's not go into that either.
Okay, that's what I'm saying. You don't do the what if games over here in these streets. It gets a lot darker for you than it does me. Mine is just Russell. That's the darkest moment right now is Russell. And that was a hit or miss chance anyway. I'm taking Minnesota versus
I already
the
said my
Clippers.
piece of Russell. I'm good with that.
I got you. Okay, Minnesota. Okay.
Because I feel like if they're gonna make the playoffs, they got to do it this year. Because no, I'm saying it because usually when teams have a season that like catches people off guard, the next year people treat them completely different. Like Atlanta this year, the Knicks, for example, this year.
Yep.
Teams that catch people off guard, the next season is completely different sometimes. So if they're going to have a chance to get some playoff experience, they're gonna have to do it this year where, okay, we can go in against the Clippers, they're not at full strength. We should be able to beat them and then, take your chances against Phoenix. I mean, that's not gonna be much of a series, but at least, get them reps in to say we were here and we know what we need to do to be a legitimate playoff contending team.
They're trying to smoke at you, Pete, by the way. If you look in the comment section.
Oh, I can't wait.
76 of Sands. Better worry about.
Oh, hey, I agree. 1000% agree about Doc Rivers. I'm not even gonna. Can't even go back at that.
Oh, I agree.
So, I mean, I don't want to see Doc get fired, but I mean, at this point,
it's going to happen because his sorry ass all bench lineups and no adjustments.
That's been written in stone since Daryl Morey's been there. We already know.
I know he's not Daryl Morey's coach.
Let's play DeAndre Jordan instead of playing Paul Reed, who can at least get dunks in transition.
I forgot DeAndre Jordan was on. And like I didn't even realize he was no longer on the Lakers. That's how much I was like, what?
It's going to be Mike D'Antoni, the coach next year of that team, guaranteed.
I think D'Antoni goes to Sacramento to give a up and down pace for them.
For Buddy Hield and Fox.
Somebody so I get it. Suns clap the cheeks of any team in the NBA in 7-game series.
I mean, right.
By far the best team.
Yeah, there's no question.
I mean, technically any team but the defending champs, right? Can't say they'll clap any team when they lost to Milwaukee last year, but yeah,
you can't. Milwaukee.
So any team but Milwaukee,
because Milwaukee could go on a run in the playoffs, and then that's going to be
which is what most championship teams do.
And not only that,
they just linger through the season. I guess you could call it the hangover, right?
Yeah.
They just get through the season. They try to hit that switch.
I mean, I just think that Phoenix, caught fire at the right time. Down the stretch.
They've been on fire all season, honestly.
So. They're the team with the most chemistry. They're probably one of the deepest teams in the league. Yeah. So
sure.
So playing game wise for the West, who do each of you guys got for New Orleans, San Antonio? Soto, obviously, I know you got San Antonio, so we don't
got to act Soto. Soto got San Antonio.
RSVP.
Appreciate that.
Spurs. I'm gonna say Spurs.
Same. I got San Antonio too.
Yeah.
It's going to come down to coaching, and obviously it's Pop. Yeah. So
I say San Antonio too. I mean, I think the Pelicans have been a little bit cold lately with, like Pete said, Ingram's just gone.
That's what I wanted to hear from everyone.
But but I'm gonna play a little bit of devil's advocate. I'm gonna say hypothetically, if the Pelicans could pull off an upset, if they could do it, if they could win the series. So
if Ingram is healthy and plays,
yes, Ingram, but upset. I would say CJ. I would say CJ would have to have a big game, which I feel like people forget that he has playoff experience and he also has balled out in playoff series. It's just that obviously being the sidekick to Dame, everybody just talked about Dame, but if you look at his numbers, he's pretty consistent. Last year, the year before that in the bubble, all that. So don't, like Pete's saying, like I guess you could say don't underestimate CJ too, because it's just like he is a veteran on a young team. He knows what to do, but again, I just don't see one player beating the Spurs. No. It has to be a team effort, and that's where health and not having Zion and all that crap, plays a factor.
Get you. All right. So now we're gonna slide to the West, where 1 through 5.
You mean East?
I mean, excuse me, East. My fault. I said what? East. Excuse me. See, that's don't mind me. That's this. Lakers not in the playoffs thing is still not. It's a new experience.
It hasn't resonated yet.
It's a new experience. If you would have told me that they were playing game worst case because they were playing horribly this year, but not made the playoffs all together, I wouldn't have said that. But I digress.
Just blame it on Westbrook. You're good.
the East there's a lot of movement that can potentially happen with the games today. Everybody that has a Eastern Conference game, has something at stake right now. The Cavs do, the Nets do, Philly does, Boston does. So it's a move of basically, if you ain't the first seed right now, there's a possibility that your position could change from those two positions down, from 2 to 5. Now, I'm going to start with the play-in games, potential play-in game matchups, because they play first. Those games would be started on Tuesday. So if you said it stays how it is, and I believe, if I'm not making a mistake here, it would be Nets at 7, Cleveland at 8, Charlotte at 9, and I just forgot the 10th seed.
Atlanta and Charlotte would flip-flop, actually.
Okay.
So it'd be Atlanta would actually take 9 just based on the record, and then Charlotte would be 10.
Okay. So I just wanted to I always forget that, the Trae Young and the great Atlanta Hawks had dropped that low.
Yeah.
I thought they were supposed to be running the league now, but I guess I was mistaken. So in those matchups,
Pete called it. Pete was on top of that all season.
Hey, look, I'm just going on what Ice Trae said. I'm going on what Ice Trae was saying. That's all I'm going on. Going on what Ice Trae said. Apparently, he thinks every team in the league is the Knicks. He just didn't realize that he ain't played them for 82 games. Now, in 7-8, that's the Nets and the Cavs series. Who do y'all have in that? See, I keep saying series. What's a freaking habit? Game between the Nets and the Cavs in that play-in game. Who would y'all have winning that game?
Wow.
I mean, I think you got to go Brooklyn just for the fact that there's so much at stake for the partnership of Kyrie, KD, Steve Nash as a coach. Like, there's a lot of things in flux right there. Like, as far as if they lose to a Cleveland team, Cleveland's got to be kicking themselves because they had the injury to Mobley at the wrong time, and then they kind of just spiraled downward as far as rotation play. Like, guys off the bench weren't as much of a spark. Like Jetty Osman, failed to show up for a number of games, got demoted. Lauri Markkanen was in and out of the lineup. So, like, injuries hit at the wrong time. Like, obviously Jared Allen being out
that's a big loss,
forced them to kind of slide down in the standings.
Yeah.
I will be interested to see today's game with Cleveland against Milwaukee, because Cleveland has a lot to lose if they lose that game, because if they lose, Atlanta wins, then Atlanta leapfrogs Cleveland, and then it's going to be tough for Cleveland.
The Bucks are not playing all their starters today. I think they're resting all of them. So
yeah, so it's going to be.
They got a chance for load management wins.
And Brooklyn's pretty much in all-out win mode, because they want to make sure they get 7th, because then you potentially have a matchup against Milwaukee, which I think they can beat, and then it also could be Boston, which they think they can match up well, even though I don't think that Brooklyn can match up well against either team in a 7-game series. Brooklyn and KD, you never know.
Well, you're getting the KD fan upset. I saw that body language.
No, I mean, it's just going to be like, it's just tough though. Like, especially for you, Ant, because like, what if KD's playing against Boston? Like that's like you're torn right there. Obviously you want Boston.
Yeah, I'm with Boston, but I love it. I've been loving the Tatum KD matchup last year in the playoffs, and then this year during the season, it's been popping up on different podcasts and different media outlets, KD praising him. And I feel like that kind of put the battery in Tatum's back, like not versus everybody else, but just versus KD, because that's somebody that Tatum, definitely watched growing up and stuff. So it's like to have that person, kind of like what Braun did for younger kids too, for younger players. It's just like, all right, my idol, one of my idols are saying, I'm here, I'm stamped, I'm certified. So now you kind of don't play with that kind of like tentativeness. Now you're playing like it's anybody else on. So that's why I feel like the last matchup they had early March was a great game. I wouldn't mind seeing that 6 games. I'd rather Chicago, obviously. If we stay third and we play Chicago, I feel like that's an easier matchup. The way Chicago's literally getting demolished the past week and a half. But with Brooklyn at the same time, I think it would be a good revenge freaking series. I think obviously Brooklyn gets more than one game like we did last year, but Just the fact that Brooklyn's still trying to find things together, like people aren't catching on to how it's kind of like a your turn, my turn with Kyrie and KD, because they're not used to being on the court this season together, because it really was your turn, my turn, like road games. KD's like, damn, all right, I finally get a break. Go ahead, Kyrie. And then home games, he knows there's no Kyrie. And then when he lost Harden to the trade, it was like, I got to do what I got to do. That's why his numbers been crazy. Like, he's a straight bucket. He's going to do what he got to do. It's just containing Kyrie, which I feel like Smart can do. And then the rest, I don't feel like their bench has as much cohesiveness as our bench. So that's where it's like, like you said, Pete, either way, Milwaukee or Boston, I think for Brooklyn, like they feel like they can, which I guess you should feel that way, but I feel like it's not really a good matchup for them.
I don't think the Nets versus the Celtics would be a good matchup, just for the fact that the Celtics defense has been like on point since after the All-Star break. Like they have probably one of the best defenses. Period.
Brooklyn has no defense, like even when fully healthy. Like
none. I mean, New York was spanking them.
I think that's gonna hurt them in the long run in the playoff run. I mean, scoring is one thing, but basketball is a two-way game. Like you need defense and offense, not only just offense. Yeah, you might win a game or two, maybe lucky on a bad night, the defender's playing bad. But if the Celtics as hot as they've been playing defensively and even doing well offensively, I don't think the Nets stand a chance. The Nets better hope that they don't get them. I'm just going to tell you that.
So I think regardless, I think the Nets take, whether it's Atlanta or Cleveland or somehow, some way, Charlotte defies the odds and makes it in. Like they're beating any of those teams. Right?
Agreed. And then one more thing, I'm def a fan of if finding out that Milwaukee's playing basically their backup players. If they were to drop and we were to win, I'm a fan of Boston being second. I was telling Soto on Thursday that I think second seed is perfect for them. So that way you get home court for 2 rounds, not just one, because you don't want to just throw Rob out there if he is able to come back second round. You know what I mean? Like you get more role player help when you're at home, compared to Milwaukee second round, and then you got to be on the road, whatever. So I'm a fan of them trying to get second. But Milwaukee is strong from first play on the roster to the 15th. So can't guarantee they're going to lose today, but it's going to be fun to see how that plays out.
Gotcha.
I mean, I if the matchup was the Nets versus the Cavs, I definitely would have gone with the Cavs. But
if they were healthy, hell yeah.
But exactly. If they were healthy. But the problem is Jared Allen, who's missed the last 14, 15 games with a fractured finger. We don't know if he's playing in the play-in tournament. If he is, I'd probably still give the edge to the Cavs. If he isn't, then I would shift it to Brooklyn, because the Cavs are a way better defensive team than Brooklyn. Brooklyn plays.
Right. It's also how effective he would be too. Remember, because he's coming off.
Yeah, I mean, listen, and then not only that, Jared Allen and LeVert would play with a chip on their shoulder, knowing that coming from Brooklyn, they got traded to the Cavs. I mean, well, they used to play for Brooklyn and whatnot, but the Cavs itself are a much better defensive team than Brooklyn. Brooklyn, who's their defensive anchor? Nobody. But for the Cavs, it's Jared Allen.
It's supposed to be Brooklyn's defensive anchor. It's supposed to be Ben Simmons, but he ain't playing. Well, actually,
that's Bruce Brown.
Scratch that right now.
Yeah,
Brooklyn
Bruce Brown.
I mean,
you brought up a good point. If I'm LeVert, I want to see Brooklyn, because
Brooklyn just dropped the mixtape for.
You got to think about it. If they don't decide to go to Brooklyn, right? Isn't Brooklyn basically still LeVert's team? You know what I mean? Like LeVert was like the last time his name was actually in media ringing bells and stuff, he was killing for Brooklyn, and then started getting moved around. Yeah, exactly. Then they both got moved around, injuries and all that. I mean, Dinwiddie's in Dallas, but he found a good spot now. It seems like that's a good fit for him. He'll probably stay, but LeVert never really found that home. He went to Indiana, didn't really work out. Now he's with Cleveland. Hopefully that could work out, but it's like, if I'm LeVert, I'm like, I want to see Brooklyn, because I'm gonna show them what they should have done, which is whatever.
And I think more Jared Allen than LeVert.
True.
Because I think he's more of a more important piece for Brooklyn, and
Brooklyn getting rid of him hurt too, because now look at they got
Claxton instead.
And in the 2 games he played against Brooklyn, it was double.
And they got Drummond now, who can't do anything but rebound and can't shoot a free throw to save his life.
But that's where it all depends on Allen's like situation, because like I said, he missed the last 14, 15 games with that fractured finger, and it's like now like his status for the play-in is up in the air.
If they can get him healthy, because they just got back Mobley, they could make a run too. In the playoffs, they could definitely make some noise. I could see it.
That game today is going to be big though, because Brooklyn's, I'm 99% sure, unless they just decide to sit Kyrie and KD, they're going to beat Indiana, because a G League team could beat Indiana at this point with so many injuries.
Brooklyn just released a video with Ben Simmons practicing with them and shooting jump shots. And
I was hoping we didn't waste not 1 second bringing that up, but
he did that in Philly.
I guess Henry being Henry would bring that up. Like, yeah, bro. Like,
I can still drain threes and open runs. So,
but no, they said he wasn't playing.
I can't even move anymore.
He's not.
That's not.
I mean, the thing about the video that throws me off is that you telling everybody that he's not really making progress at his back.
Yeah,
but
bro,
he can. Do like a fadeaway and off the wrong footing. What, like
they're doing that all season in summertime.
It's like the Zion video. It's like, come on now, like you gonna put a video out that you dunk in, like
oh my god,
legit. The more impressive thing in that video, Henry, is the first clip. Seemed like the bat looked fine to me. The first 3 seconds of that clip is the most important. KD shooting with a hand in his face.
I don't think
that boy unguardable.
But here's the thing, though, and you made a good point. How is he practicing when they say he's not going to play in the play-in and stuff like that? He's doing shots and putting mixtape videos.
He's doing minimal movement. You could tell by the
it's minimal movement. But
it is minimal movement, but the fadeaway is not. That's a little bit more movement with the back.
Yeah, but you got to think coming up and down even once in an NBA game,
pro level.
Yeah, completely different. Completely different.
That back is
if he did a spin fade that slow in the game, I don't think he ball out his hand.
Especially for him, when it comes to that back, with him being so damn big, I think about like this is the lower back, right? So I'm thinking of more like screens. They're the worst, one of the worst defensive teams. They ain't calling out screens. Like, so imagine you think your back's good and you get a back screen set on you and you just get hit in that wrong spot. You're dropping.
So here's a question. I guess it's a good question just for Ant. I'm gonna lay off the question. Ant, so if Brooklyn, hypothetically speaking, we know it's not gonna happen. If Brooklyn had Ben Simmons playing against the Celtics, now would that change everything?
Changes everything. I changed everything for the whole East in general.
How the
that
series
changes
goes.
everything.
That's a good question, because I just figured.
I think that changes everything, because yes, they don't need him to score. They got enough scoring with the other two guys, right? You just go back to telling him, hey, just play defense and rebound. And obviously pass, which passing, nobody ever questioned that with him, right? So then that's when us not having Rob would be like, damn, like, because I don't think a old Horford and a Daniel Tice, who gets 2 fouls the first 10 seconds of each game, could deal with that 3-headed monster.
Bro, it's gonna be like Valanciunas. He got 5 fouls in 6 minutes yesterday.
Daniel Tice is trying.
Some of those fouls be questionable, man. I was saying that before he even came back to Boston, bro. He gets no whistles in his favor.
So I think we're all in agreement that Brooklyn makes it. So what about Charlotte and Atlanta?
Charlotte, I think
tune into that game and get all the snacks ready. That's good. I think that's going to be a high scoring, just up and down.
Charlotte is interesting because
I love that matchup.
Terry Rozier has been off lately shooting. His shooting numbers have been abysmal. But if he has a game where a couple games where he can get hot and shoot like the other day where he hit like 5 or 7 threes in one game, like for a couple games straight, they can make some noise. Same thing with Atlanta. So you got 2 streaky teams that could potentially do something, because I know the other day Gallo was playing like 2 games or whatever, and Gallo dropped like a 20 bomb. I was like, oh shit.
But no John Collins though. How much is that going to affect Atlanta?
Thank you.
I mean, you don't have John Collins, but then again, the Hawks bench is not that bad, I'm going to say.
No, but the Hawks bench is going through some injuries, because Bogdanovich has a knee issue.
Yeah, he's had a knee issue all season though, so
they better hope for a Kevin Huerter special.
He's been off lately. He's been off lately too. Huerter. There was a streak where he had, I think he had 13 or 14 points for like, I think it was like 15 straight games, and now he's just gone ice cold.
Yeah.
I think the X factor for that team is DeAndre Hunter.
Yes, agree. Defensively and being able to shoot from the corner for them.
Somebody wrote a comment, how does it change about the Ben Simmons thing that he hasn't almost played in a year? I mean, it doesn't, but the potential for him being able to guard the 1 through 5 is
he's not. I just don't see him playing at all in the playoffs. Unless they made it.
Yeah, no, that's what the comment was saying. They were saying he's not ramping up that quickly.
I don't think he's going to play. No, I don't think he's going to play at all. But we'll see. I mean,
they would have to make a deep run, like legit a finals run, and then maybe you might see him.
What I think the key for Atlanta is going to be obviously Trey, because Trey's able to slide into the paint with Charlotte not being a good defensive inside present team. And so, because I mean, they have Harrell, they have Plumlee, like it's not really going to do much. PJ Washington, like the reverse is Gordon Hayward's not playing, so that allows Kelly Oubre to step into an expanded role, which has actually been good for Charlotte for most of the year. So that is the matchup that I want to see more so than the Brooklyn thing, because I think
he's another one, though, man. It's
just going to be exciting.
He's like
streaking, but it's like one game. All you need is one game to be able to get that win. To get
didn't he have one game this year where he had like 1 or 2 games where he had like 30 and 40 points, something like that? I mean, he has
a fantasy team.
Yeah, he has team games like that, but like I don't know.
He played well in the season. He's averaging, I think, 15 to them.
So that's the thing with Charlotte, with this matchup, with any matchup, they don't have rim protection. Right. So it's like this could be scary for whoever ends up potentially seeing Atlanta, if they, you know what I mean? Because it's just like, all right, if somehow Atlanta gets through all this, right, then Trae Young got going, because he literally played versus Charlotte, who has no bigs. He sees the ball go in, which he's one of those streaky guys, which most NBA is, right?
Yeah.
Then you have the same thing as last year. Now, how long does this streak last? Now they start giving whoever they play first round a run for their money, because you got a hot Trae Young, and the team kind of feeds off that, because when you got to throw doubles at him, then these guys get open shots, which they stop making, because I mean, what the hell? That's all you're doing is getting paid to hit an open shot. At that point, anybody can hit you take 5-6 open shots, you're gonna hit 3 at some point, right? So that's what it comes down to. It's like with Atlanta, I mean, it sucks they drop so low, but at the same time, they go as far as Trae Young takes them. So it's like if he gets going, which he could off this Charlotte matchup, then that's something to look out for, because
I know some people. I know some people like to say like don't sleep on somebody, but like I got the therapeutic out for the Atlanta Hawks. This ain't the Knicks. Like we sitting there looking like if he gonna play the Knicks again in the second round or the first round.
No, the Knicks are long gone, bro.
He gonna kill it.
1, 2, 3, Cancun.
People are really looking at the fact that Trae Young went off against the Knicks and was like, oh, he that nigga for real.
But he didn't only go off. I was more impressed with what he did versus Philly.
Yeah, but Philly was dysfunctional. Like you had
Sorry,
Ben
Pete.
Simmons like in all
because
honesty,
that was with Ben Simmons on the court.
I know,
defending him, telling everybody I got him.
Just said Ben Simmons is an elite defender, right? He spent most of that series guarding him.
Right.
Like, so y'all just said for Brooklyn, if he was playing, he gonna give defense. He was guarding Trae Young. So if he was the person guarding Trae Young and Trae Young was getting his buckets, then we can't say the same guy gonna be out there locking up people on the Brooklyn Nets now. So what I'm saying is that at some point in time, I think Trae Young had a nice little run. It was like the NCAA tournament. This was a Cinderella story. He got hot at the right time. You know what I mean? He was hooping. It looked good. It's like Jimmer Fredette or somebody in the tournament. Right. He was dropping buckets. The problem is every team knows that he is the go-to scoring option.
Yep, without having even
and that's what I'm saying.
Defense,
that's what someone else has to step up.
It's scary.
Others around him, it's not going to change. And like that's kind of where like why I predicted the Hawks to drop this year, because it was like, all right, you're bringing Nate McMillan with the same schemes. You're bringing the same offensive flow of Trae does it all. If you're overpaid John Collins, in my opinion, to be like a lob threat, could hit occasional threes, but he's not a rebounding presence. He's not a defensive presence. You overpay Capella for what Okongwu could do off the bench in shorter minutes. You know, so like a lot of moves didn't make sense. Herter was like, okay, he's an average like shooter. Like everybody puts him in an elite category. And I'm like, all right, 36% from 3 is not, you know, is an average shooter. Like, you know, Bogdanovich had spurts, but he got hurt. Like, so the team as constructed isn't really like a team that you could say, all right, looking at the way the landscape of the East is this year, are they going to make it out of the first round? No way. There's no way unless Miami, if they happen to get 8th. I don't think they're going to beat Charlotte personally.
I think they're going to lose both their games.
Yeah, I don't even think they get 2 games. I think they lose directly to Charlotte if that's the case, and then they're out because Charlotte would have to go on and play the loser of because essentially Cleveland.
And like Pete said and Soto also said, they don't play no defense.
No.
And if you're gonna let Charlotte with LaMelo running gun, you're gonna get yourself into a shootout, and you could lose a shootout against them.
Well, yeah, and then you got
agreed.
You got somebody
agreed with the shootout situation. That's why I said it's going to be a fun game to watch. I think it's going to be a shootout.
It is going to be shit. No defense, but shooting for sure. Shooting, yeah, we know that. And not just to add to a point, P2, what you said about Kevin Huerter, like everybody puts him up there elite. Another guy they put up there with elite too is Duncan Robinson too, where they put him up there at elite too.
He's a little bit different because the way the offense is constructed for a Miami.
Yeah, but he still shot in the 30s too. So I mean, he's not,
yeah, but you got to think of Bam Adebayo is screening for him in successful situations. Without Bam there, your screener is potentially, a combo of Markieff Morris at center. Omer, you're at 7. Like your at 7 doesn't have NBA experience, or you're going small. Those guys don't know how to screen. Like there was a video
Dedmon,
out.
Or no?
Huh?
Do you still have Dedmon?
Dedmon as well.
Yeah,
yes.
But he's not a screener. He's a pick and pop kind of guy. Like he's not going to screen for you and be able to get, let's play pitch and catch and get you certain situations. Because if you look at it, there's a video out there, I believe it's on Instagram, where Duncan Robinson's trying to get a shot off, doesn't get the opportunity on the first go, gets the pitched again, doesn't get it on the second opportunity. Bam comes up, sets a screen. He gets the opportunity for a wide open 3 that goes in off of that screen. Without that Bam screen, it's tough for him because teams are going to be able to lock down on him because what are they going to do? Guard Jimmy Butler out on the 3-point line? It's not going to happen. And so you kind of run into a different situation where Huerter is more of the spot up guy that's getting wide open looks because so much attention's on Trey. Mm-hmm. He's not an off the ball movement guy as much, and he's missing the shot. So there's a little bit of a difference with Duncan Robinson and Huerter. Huerter just got overvalued because of he carried the team, through a couple key wins.
True.
So
I just think like when it comes to in the Hornets, it's going to be a big game for either Miles Bridges or Kelly Oubre because DeAndre Hunter can only guard one of them, and who's going to guard the other? It's not
Danilo Gallinari, who can't move.
Yeah, exactly. It's not going to be Gallinari.
Gallinari's flat-footed.
Like we said, no John Collins. Capella's going to be on Plumlee. Huerter's going to be on Rozier, and so it's like
Plumlee ain't
pick your poison on that.
Plumlee's not a threat, so we don't got to worry about that. I don't even put him in that conversation.
And when you got bad defense, anybody a threat. That's what.
They have to hope for a spark somewhere of like a guy like Bogdanovich goes off for 25, and then you get quality backup play from a combo of DeLon Wright and Lou Williams. Because let's not forget, Lou Williams can get hot in the playoffs very quickly.
He was in the NBA,
and so him coming off as a backup 2 guard.
Yeah, I forgot he was.
Does he really even play much with them?
He's played. The second half of the season after the All-Star break, he's played a lot more because he shifted from backup point guard to 2 guard as a combo with DeLon Wright playing the point. Yeah. So he can handle defensive matchups.
10 to 15 minutes, but
he's in there to basically be, all right, do what you do, pull up, jump shot.
Don't play no defense.
Yeah, no defense. No defense. That's what DeLon Wright's there for.
Undersized too.
Just score.
Undersized too and just shoot.
It's just going to be a chess match of, like, Borrego comes from obviously the Spurs system versus Nate McMillan, who's defensive minded, but without the defensive pieces, it's kind of like, what are you really going to do?
Yeah, they got to rebuild that team. That's clear. Now, 1 through 6 is pretty much a little bit more 1 through 6 is pretty much more of an understanding. So the matchups would be 3 and 6, and 4 and 5. So 3 and 6 currently is
Boston and Chicago.
Boston, Chicago.
Which could
move. And then 4
Toronto
5
and Philly.
Yeah. So let's just say, if they stay like that.
Yes, if they stay like that. So who do y'all have in those respective series between Boston and Chicago and Toronto and Philly?
Boston's going to beat the brakes off of Chicago. I think Chicago might get 1 game based on DeRozan getting hot. Zach LaVine getting hot. But when you got free Kobe White coming off the bench, is either turning the ball over or dribbling the air out of the ball, and then goes ISO and then bricks. Like, I mean, come on.
Now I have a question. That's with or without Rob Williams?
First round's automatic without Rob.
He's not playing.
I mean, he's rehabbing his ass off. Don't get me wrong. I've never heard of nobody getting surgery and then doing rehab the next day. And like, so and it's something he want to do. They want to. I know they're trying to make that clear. It's what he wants to do to get back. But even second round, they don't even know when. It could be late second round, whatever. But so I'm with the Chicago matchup because not only because they might get 1 or 2, whatever. But I'm a fan of dragging it out. Honestly, rather than sit. I'm not a fan of a sweep in the first round and then you're sitting, because whatever momentum you built up goes out the window once you're sitting, because the rest of the rounds, who knows? You never know. Like Miami getting Brooklyn. I could go 5, I could go 6, I could go 7, whatever. Same thing with the Milwaukee matchup, whoever they get. Who's that?
Didn't that happen last year in the playoffs where Milwaukee had a little break and then Brooklyn had to play right after, and that's why. Yeah,
exactly. That always happens in basketball constantly, though. Like,
and that's why today's Milwaukee-Cleveland game is so important, because Cleveland has to win to be able to be up on Atlanta, to be able to get ahead. And then Milwaukee, if they lose, they play Chicago, and then Boston would have to win against Memphis to go up to 2, and they would play Brooklyn.
Yeah.
If you're Milwaukee, you're kind of looking at it like, all right, well, we can get Brook Lopez fully healthy going into our matchup against Chicago. I mean, obviously they have Nikola Vucevic there, but he's been terrible most of the season compared to what he was in the past.
Correct.
You've got Patrick Williams coming back from injury. He's looked okay. Still trying to get his stride. And then you've got LaVine. Still worry about the knee. And then you've got no Lonzo. So your defensive backcourt would have been Lonzo and Alex Caruso. Caruso still having the effects coming back from injury.
Yeah.
He's not played well at all. And then no Lonzo now. So now your backcourt is essentially Zach LaVine and Dosunmu, who's a rookie, who's been good, but he struggled the last 7 games, like bad. He looks like he hit the rookie wall at the worst time. So then you got to rely on Kobe White to come in and be your scorer. And like I said, he dribbles the air out of the ball every time for an ISO. And it's just, he's not a pass first guy. And then, so that means DeRozan is going to have to go do his thing and put up 35 points for them to even have a chance to win, whether it's Milwaukee or Boston. Let's say in this case against Boston, Boston's going to eat them for lunch. Like, I mean, there's just no way. I think one game.
A couple games ago.
Days
ago.
That's what's crazy. That's why it was like, damn, like all the top seeded teams in the East ended up facing Chicago within the past week and a half, and it was all the same result. That's not a good look for Chicago, number one. Number two, I got a question for you guys. Does this just show the importance of Lonzo Ball? Because it's like, bro, ever since he got hurt, like that's really the key mark right there. I mean, Caruso's injury was crazy, and whatever that kind of built up the Milwaukee thing, but ever since Lonzo really got hurt, it's kind of like, and he was basically about to have his best season of his career, fair to say, if you look at everything he was doing. So it's
I just think it's a fair of different injuries, because everyone has gotten injury at some point during the season.
So you think that it just finally caught up to them because
I forgot what the video was I watched. It was a YouTube video, and it's a basketball guy, and he's really into analytics and comparing different eras and comparing teams in general. And he actually did the numbers of what defensively Caruso and Lonzo Ball mean when they're on the court together to the Bulls, and they rank amongst the highest defensive group. In just the 2 of them, not even a 5.
I believe it. I don't even need no damn numbers to show me that. That's just the eye test, right?
Yeah. So when you don't have your 2 best perimeter defenders in a game that's now so perimeter offensive minded, you're going to struggle. I think what's going to give the Bulls a chance to make this Celtics series competitive is because there is no Robert Williams. What you can do differently to them when he's on the court versus when he's off the court is a completely different day. When he's on the court, you're not going in the paint. He pretty much got that covered. Horford is a charge guy. He's a positional defender that you can kind of manipulate a little bit more. But then the problem is going to be, do they have enough defense to deal with Tatum and Brown? I do not know.
Yeah.
So that's where it's an interesting concept, because it's like, if they can bank on the fact that the Celtics don't have Robert Williams, then I don't know how they're going to deal with the fact that they can't guard.
Not only that, though, it's just like Ant just mentioned, the past, let's just say 10 games, they've faced some of the best or top Eastern Conference teams.
Yep.
They got blown out by Miami, got blown out by Milwaukee, blown out by Boston, got blown out by Charlotte. They lost to the Knicks. I mean,
it's more than that. It's just more of, hitting that slump at the worst time.
Yeah.
And there's always a team every year that hits that slump at the worst time. And and they just hitting that. And I mean, talking about Boston, they had the slump early on, and it looked like they were never going to get out of that, right? So it's possible for them to dig out of it, right? Yeah. But at the same time, it's like when you're missing those two key defenders, and Lonzo's huge. Like, he's not your average guard. Like, he wasn't just guarding guards. He was guarding a Tatum and a Brown. So it was like you were moving them all over the place. No different from a slot in a corner in freaking football. You're moving them to the best offensive player, and they're locking up. So that's where it hurts but with this one, I understand it's gonna slow down because it's playoffs, which is great for DeRozan. But somebody who also has a game like DeRozan is Jaylen Brown. So that's why I'm like, all right, so these two will kind of balance out, and it's like it's gonna be whoever can win between LaVine and Tatum, and it's like.
And we
take
know
Tatum in that matchup.
We know that LaVine is playing
and who's speaking Chicago's bigs, bro? Like, who's their bigs?
Well, that's the thing. With Vucevic could have a better series with no Time Lord.
Correct.
Yes.
Difference. Like, this is a better matchup for him. If you said he had to deal with Robert Williams, I'm like, there's no way in the world. But we know Horford at this point defensively, no disrespect to him.
No, but yeah, I agree. I agree with Horford.
Not the same defender.
And then Tice, like I already brought up.
Kaner-ish at this stage in his career when he's on the defensive side.
But they also got Grant Williams, who I feel like goes under the radar. And you know what I mean? So it's like he's gonna have to, which he probably could. He's trying to have that Draymond Green role. You know what I mean? So it's gonna be a fun series. I like that 3-6 matchup, but
and if they move up to 2, Chicago,
it is what it is.
It's tough.
Because you got Milwaukee, you got Holiday to go against Zach LaVine, who's not healthy, if that's the route they go. And then in Boston, you got Marcus Smart locking up LaVine. Like, that's gonna be tough, because I wouldn't even worry about the other guard, because it's probably gonna be the Sun move for the most part, and then I just let Kobe White dribble into a bad decision. Like, and that's all that. Like, that's not. So if I'm either team, like, I kind of, if I'm Boston, I want to lose to Memphis to make sure that we get, Chicago, because you can kind of.
Well, they don't guarantee get Chicago if they lose to Memphis. That's when good old Philly comes in, and then you want to be best friends with Philly and hope Philly loses too. But
the only thing,
if we lose and Philly wins, then y'all jump us.
Yeah, that's what I'm gonna say. That's the worst.
Yeah, that's why I was, before we went live, I was so pissed that they decided to sit Tatum and Horford on Thursday. I know it was a back-to-back, but you beat the brakes off Chicago on Wednesday. They sat the fourth quarter. So, and then you had 3 days off till today, and then you have a whole week off after today. So they're getting their rest. I wasn't a fan of that. Now look at the position you're in, where they probably mentally were like, oh, we're gonna be able to sit you guys Sunday, or one of you guys. Now you got to play the whole damn roster, and Memphis ain't no cakewalk. I'm not a fan of that.
So just real quick before we get into that, Philly and Toronto series. So we saw, Coach Norman Fisher take a jab at Pete earlier with the whole, coaching Philadelphia, which we all agree on. But he now says, what has Tatum and Brown done in the playoffs?
Tough shit.
And that's they let you answer it, because we have done.
I mean, they've done a lot for their young age. I mean, but then he's gonna say, don't use age, right? We know how he is. He's gonna find something in my response to nitpick at. So I read the comment. I'm gonna just ignore it. They've had their success, but at the same time, they've also had their failures. But It's deeper than that. It's a whole new coach.
It's all right. And you keep people to being, bro. You can just tell them that you can see where Keane gets his trolling from and just call it a day.
I mean, but we can't make it seem like they haven't done anything. They made it to the Eastern Conference Finals a good amount of times. I mean, it's not the finals, but who were they running into in the Eastern Conference Finals? That's when LeBron was still in the East. So they were running into LeBron, which when he was in the East, it was his East. There was no one going. There was nobody. That's why Toronto broke up. So they had the same problem everybody else had. It is what it is.
Well, the only thing
I see you, Soto. You trying to get me worked up. I seen his comment, but I just let him go. I know how he is. I'm not
the only thing with the Boston
Celtics
is because he mentioned Toronto before. Yeah. There are rumors that y'all have 2 players on your team unvaccinated.
Which Horford came out and said he is.
Believe
he's
it
fully
might
vaxxed.
be Horford and Brown. They believe it.
Yeah, so it's probably going to be just Brown, but
which Brown I believe he's probably not.
He can't play. Whoever it is. If,
yeah,
they're not saying it's role players. They're saying it's key players.
No, yeah. They were saying it was Horford and Brown, but Horford cleared that up I think yesterday. So, but Brown hasn't cleared it up. So I think it's Brown.
Yeah. So Toronto is on if you ain't vaxxed, you ain't getting in.
Yeah.
So if y'all drop to Toronto,
it gets interesting.
He's not going nowhere. He's gonna be like Drake, except he's gonna be at the crib watching the game. He's not partaking in this game.
Well, that's when home court plays an advantage. You get the first 2 games at home, so he's there. Then you just ride that momentum. I think without Brown, they still could beat Toronto in one of those 2 games in Toronto. I don't see it going more than 5.
Being Philly against Toronto. Philly against Toronto, that's how they get 6.
That's their problem.
That's why I worry.
They playing everybody tonight. Well, we know Embiid want to play because he's trying to get the scoring title, MVP, all that shit, just to end up probably tweaking something in the playoffs. Watch, he overworking himself. You think he would have learned a lesson?
I worry about overuse of Embiid.
That's what I'm saying.
And trying to do the your turn, my turn with Harden to get him going. And then if you're playing Toronto, you don't have Thibault, so then that's going to be tough defensively because then you throw in Danny Green, who's good for 0 points, 0 rebounds, 1 assist.
You gonna do the Tony Snell stat line?
Basically. And like,
why y'all doing Snell like that?
The bench, like you got Shake Milton, Furkan Korkmaz, you can't hit anything right now. You've got
Thibault is not vaccinated either, right?
That's what I'm saying. So he won't play in the Toronto games.
Yeah.
Toronto has owned the series this season. Mm-hmm. And like people can make arguments of like, well, they had to change the team and get chemistry and all that stuff. But Embiid played and put up 30 points in both games against Toronto and they still lost.
Yeah, because it comes down to the others, like you said.
He won't have enough time.
Yeah, no, yeah. So like you said, it comes down to the others. I agree. Because Embiid's gonna get his. So it's like because Toronto,
I let that happen. I let Embiid go off and then say, all right, Tobias Harris, beat me with the jump shot. All right, Harden, you're going to have to go off for 30 points and be 30 and 10.
2 shots, or is it 1 for Canada too?
Everything. You got to have double vax. You got to be double vax and boosted.
And boosted.
You're from America.
So my fault. So John Morant is out.
He's out today. I figured they would sit him, but that don't. To me, that Memphis is just as hot as Phoenix, just as hot as Boston.
I know you saw that spicy comment he wrote right after you wrote that too. I know you saw that.
He chose to ignore it.
Oh well, Boston's about championships. I know that.
Same thing with the Lakers are the same way.
Yeah,
I mean, they both.
You're not mentioning the Lakers. Why are you mentioning the Lakers?
They got the most championships in NBA history.
Right now.
No, they don't. Oh yeah, they do. Yeah, they do because they won.
I'm really worried. Like everybody has like Embiid as an MVP caliber. Like obviously. But I honestly think it should be Jokic, and I'm a Sixers fan. I think Jokic has done a little bit more across the board to get it. But I think at the same time, Philly has so many question marks of what is the bench going to be able to do with like a limited bench. No Thibault now, so that elevates the Green.
Bro.
That limits,
I'm a Thibault fan. That's big.
That limits the bench even worse. Defensively, now you're throwing Danny Green out for more minutes.
I seen that.
like Toronto. I don't know. I just worry about.
Like you said, like
actually in round 1,
having burn at some point you don't want to see, but it happens. You don't want to see that burnout with Embiid because
I'm gonna
ease. What did you say, Henry?
I said maybe Danny Green will do something. You never know.
How you gonna use him?
Whatever you smoked.
I'm gonna eat him.
Pass that along.
Okay.
I said maybe. I said he's gonna do something. I said maybe.
I honestly think
instead of 1 rebound, he might give you 2. Right? That's the most I'm saying.
I honestly think that this nigga Harden has been bullshitting.
You think so? You think it's real
that
he's just kind of
he full PF? He at the strip club. He rapping. I don't
think, because here's why: the man had games where he goes out and gets a triple double, and then the next game goes, "Nah, I'm chilling today." I feel like there's just games where right now. Like when they played that game, I know you're talking about that game when they played against Toronto. This man wasn't even running down the court on some plays. Like there was a loose ball. This man just like, yeah, I'm good. You got that, man. Fleet. Go ahead.
Yeah,
like,
Keem, I see,
when he's literally.
I see where you get the trophy from now. I see where you get it from. You wrote out Doc Rivers will be the new Lakers coach.
Doc Rivers.
Oh, that's towards
Doc Rivers fits the Lakers coach, so that just doesn't.
Speaking of Doc Rivers, that's also something that Embiid got to deal with. So what he has recently, I think it was like 2 weeks ago, called out Doc's coaching late down the stretch. I think he felt like they lost a game because he sat Embiid too long, and he sat versus I think Milwaukee, right? And he watched Giannis
his sorry ass
14 straight
bench lineups that he keeps running. Like why the fuck is DeAndre Jordan in a game in the NBA?
Embiid got to deal with Harden. We don't know if he's really healthy or not. You got to deal with a questionable Harden, no Thibault.
That's the
bench, all that crap. Harris, is he going to show up, not show up? You got to deal with all that. And then on top of that, you got to look at your coach and be like, bro, you're going to really coach or you going to, play games? So it's like, I don't know. Getting Harden. Yeah, exactly. Getting Harden, I think, hurt Embiid's MVP run, which kind of sucks to say. I mean, it's still great stats for a season. But that's why I think the Joker's gonna probably win because he did all this without his second man.
Or third.
Yeah.
Well,
a whole season.
Embiid made it. Only reason why I say Embiid is because I feel like when Ben Simmons decided he wasn't gonna play, people had Philly at like the bottom of the East. Like
true.
People just basically dropped them completely out the playoff chance.
I had him at worst fit.
No way. You had I'm saying, I know you had him but mainstream was like it's over. Like they was talking like this team was done. Like even like most if you watch ESPN, I don't care where you was going to.
Okay, ESPN that says, "Oh yeah, the surging Atlanta Hawks and New York Knicks," and we see what happened with them.
They had them buried in the ground. It'd be like that out here in these streets. But the Nuggets, we kind of always still had them in the mix. Like nobody really said Nuggets was going to be out of the mix. They kind of was like, "Oh yeah." But with Philly, they was looking at Joel Embiid with no Ben Simmons, like, "Yo, this is over. Let's pack him up, coach." They got to trade him immediately because otherwise we're going to waste. Even when Embiid got up to the hot start, they got to trade Ben Simmons. They're going to waste his season. They got to trade him. So, and the fact that they're sitting at the 4th spot, I'm like, okay, 4th is the difference than 6th. So it's like his team has the better record and a better positioning standing-wise, as long as they don't somehow drop some way. And I think they have a better chance of getting out the first round. I know it's not the same thing, but I'm not a fan of seeing someone win MVP that you're telling me for 82 games he could carry his team to the playoffs.
Embiid won the scoring title.
Yeah. So you got to
I figured that was
give him MVP. Give him MVP. This is full circle. Give him MVP too. Because I know what's going to happen. This is going to happen. Nuggets going to get their ass whipped, and we're going to go, oh, he didn't have Jamal Murray, and he didn't have Michael Porter Jr.
I don't think they're going to get their ass whooped. I think it's going to be a series because if they're playing Golden State's been up and down all season.
The reason why I say it's going to be an ass whooping is because if Curry can come back and look any 75% worth of Curry, who is going to guard him on that Denver Nuggets team? Campazzo? That's what we doing.
Well, his ass has been sitting on the bench for over a month and a half. So
we're gonna put Monte Morris on them. Like
Monte Morris is the starter.
Klay Thompson kind of looks like he found his rhythm.
And and Jordan Poole is playing really well right now.
Yeah,
so it's
that's
like
the
they
X
got
factor
so many options right now that the Nuggets is just gonna be out there with Jokic trying to go for triple doubles. They're gonna lose, and then we're gonna be like, well, if you would have had those other guys, I don't feel like hearing that again. I had to hear that last year when he got his ass whipped by.
Yeah, but he has a legit excuse of you don't have 2 and 3. Like if this happens to Utah and Utah gets spanked, then that's going to be a worse problem than I could see something.
Utah's
like
another team who's kind of like I guess you just like Chicago in the East and you got Utah in the West. Mm-hmm. They hitting some type of wall where it's just like they're just going downhill, and it's just like, bro, what's going on over there? Like, not gonna lie, especially for a team who's usually a regular season team, the past 3 seasons, to see them slump the way they are, it's kind of like, damn, what's going on? I think that trade hurt them.
The Jazz heads for early exit. Who leaves, Gobert or Mitchell?
Mitchell.
Mitchell's probably Well, they'll try to move Gobert, I think, before they try to do anything with Mitchell, because you got to bank on Mitchell being the guy that you could build a franchise around more than Gobert. That's never shown any offensive versatility.
True. I seen a crazy stat a couple of days ago. Speaking of freaking Gobert, Mitchell passed him not even the ball, I think, one time. And like in like a span of like 3 games on the pick and roll. So it's like, how can you even show what he could do when the dude's literally just picking and rolling, but he's really just picking? He's rolling to get out the way, but they're not looking for him. And when you're that tall, you should be able, like a McGee, to just drop the ball.
I think that's
McGee looks like he has more offense than him. And I think that's crazy.
Chemistry.
That's so. Real quick, we talked about
that's
Milwaukee,
the beef between them two, though.
Their seeding might change.
Well, according to Mitchell,
they could either be 2 or 3.
Yeah.
All right, so they're resting everyone.
Yeah, they are. I told you that. Yeah,
that's what I thought.
Wait, who is?
So they're going to be probably 3.
Milwaukee. Giannis is out. Brook Lopez is out. Chris Middleton is out, and Bobby Portis is out.
Oh yeah, we figured that, but they still could probably win because they got who right now? They got who tonight? Cleveland or Detroit?
Cleveland.
Yeah. So
is it Cleveland?
I think it's Cleveland.
It's Cleveland. I think.
I'll play right now.
I want it.
It's Cleveland and Cleveland. So now that game's interesting. Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. I think Cleveland takes that game. Cleveland has to win.
They have to win that game.
But
they're gonna play everybody.
But okay, so if Milwaukee loses and Boston loses, because that's the thing, like we can't just assume Boston's winning tonight either. So it's like if Milwaukee loses and Boston loses, do they both stay 2-3, no matter what happens with Philly or what?
Somebody said Cleveland is injured.
That's the question.
Because I'm looking at the standings, I think Milwaukee's 51-30, Boston's 50-31. But if Milwaukee loses,
they would own. I think the Celtics own that tiebreaker, so they'd stay. I think that's what it is.
With Philly to own the tiebreaker, so Philly.
You have to recognize division winners first. So in the case of
the division,
in case of them losing,
I think
basically it would remove Philadelphia from the equation, which would leave Boston at 2, Milwaukee would go to 3, and then Philly would go to 4.
Yeah, because right now, Milwaukee's a division winner, but
because they own the tiebreaker.
Boston and Philly
over
are tied, but we own the tiebreaker. Yeah. So okay, I see what you're saying. But that's why I'm saying it gets tricky, because this is like, all right, we kind of expected Milwaukee to do this, right? So Milwaukee does this, and then if like Pete says, because they're playing in Cleveland, okay, Cleveland gets this win, they scrape 5 with a win, right? And then Boston somehow loses, but Philly wins. That's when things get interesting, because who does Philly have tonight?
Who did they play?
I don't think
they got Detroit at home.
Yeah,
Detroit. It's not a good team.
And they're playing.
And they'll blow Detroit out.
Playing everybody.
That's not.
Detroit just got smoked by. Yeah, they just got smoked by freaking the Pacers.
I think Boston's going to end up winning. They get 2. Milwaukee gets 3.
The Bucks.
Philly stays at 4.
Yeah,
and the worst case for Philly is going to be against Toronto. I would pray that somehow Milwaukee could still win, Boston would lose, and then Philly would win. That's what I'm hoping for if you're the Sixers, because then they jump up to 3, Boston goes to 4. So then Philly gets the easier Chicago matchup because of injuries.
That's what I don't want. See, that's why we're thinking the same, but for different reasons. That's what I don't. Right. I mean, I love hearing that Milwaukee sitting people great, but
Toronto's that sleeper team.
So I need
hot right now.
That's what I'm saying. They're that sleeper team. I would not count. Like, even if you're Miami and you're in the second round and you got to say they play Toronto, that's going to be tough.
I love Toronto.
Oh, that'd be great to see Lowry basically verse. Verse Fred. Yeah, that would be great. Yeah.
We covered all our topics for today, but like always stay closing thoughts. I know it's a long time. We talk about anything, do not relate anything that's on your mind. That's something.
I'm going to throw out something non-basketball related. Dwayne Haskins being killed. That was tough to see just because
that was crazy.
He's 25 years old.
Yeah.
Super
obviously young. We know he had ups and downs, but just the personality that he had and just kind of how it seems that he positively affected everybody that he was around. Like, we've all gone through being young, spending money, doing stupid stuff. Like, everybody does that. Like you're just under the microscope when you're like a professional athlete. So it's it's a little different. But for Adam Schefter to throw that out there of like, oh yeah, his struggles.
That's a bad look.
I was like, dude, what the fuck?
That's
like you're a main,
in the past month.
Like you're like a Woj of football.
In the past month. Yeah, doing
like come on
stuff. Yeah.
And then the 90-year-old guy, I forgot his name, but he's used to be a front office GM for the Dallas Cowboys years ago, but he's like 90 years old now. And he went on Sirius XM radio and was just like, basically he lived a life of death, like, and all this stuff, like all this derogatory shit.
And then instead of apologizing, right, with Adam, the dude just deletes the Twitter. I mean, deletes the tweet and then moves on. Like nobody else caught it. So now you got all the athletes coming at him, which I think is great.
Oh no, he apologized on Twitter saying that it was insensitive.
Oh, he did? Oh, yeah, I didn't see that.
He did, but the part that I think I'm getting at what Pete said is that everybody nowadays is a generation where people just want to dismiss shit like, oh yeah, sorry, it's okay, it's done, it's over with. It's not. You don't say something insensitive. That's like somebody saying something insensitive to him when somebody passes away from his family. It wasn't a proper taste comment. Granted, he had his demons that guy dealt with and everything like that, like everybody else does. Everybody else deals with their own kind of shit, and it's hard. But like for him to say that,
as if you're you're in ownership like Dan Snyder, for example, like shit gets swept under the rug left and right, and like nobody wants to bring it up and touch the subject. But then as soon as it's an athlete, especially an athlete of color, like it's like let's down them and like do all the bad shit. But at the same time, like he played quarterback for the Steelers. It's like what the fuck, like I mean, he's a young guy. Like not everybody makes it in their first stop. Like I mean. Look at Johnny Manziel, like that got swept. Like it's like, oh, he just flamed out in the NFL. Like that's not a big deal. Like he was one of the biggest busts of ever. Like, and just didn't care, but nobody talks about it, and that's just wrong to me. Like, just the whole thing.
He got a lot of shit for that comment. So I mean,
yeah, but he's just one of a few. Like there was like 4 or 5 people that were shitting all over Haskins instead of saying, hey, look, like it's really bad, like thoughts and prayers to his wife, the rest of his family, like his teammates that he played with, because a lot of current teammates and ex-teammates came out like in support of him, right away. And you don't do that like if you're like not that nice of a guy or things like that. Like it really bothered me to see that. So that's my rant for 2 minutes.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty serious. I mean, hope you rest in peace.
That's a good rant to bring up because it literally just happened, and it was. I think it shocked everybody. Not that you expect to get that news about anybody, but it was just like with him, it was just like, damn, really, like.
Yeah, somebody had the nerve to say when it came out he got hit by a dump truck. Well, what was he crossing the street for? That's kind of weird. It's like. I mean,
everybody just has these weird,
You never know. Like, I mean, he wasn't purposely playing in traffic. Like, hopefully not. But
what I just don't get is people were getting at Adam Schefter for putting the news out there and saying all this crazy shit to him. And I was like, yo, he's just reporting news.
It wasn't the fact he reported the news. It was what he said when he first reported it.
How he first reported it, I mean, the way he wrote it, I'm looking at it now. The way he wrote it is insensitive, but.
It's out of sight, out of mind. It's like a business.
Just the part where he
got it out there.
It was like one sentence out of the whole. Yeah, exactly. Basically, I think it was the first sentence. He didn't need to say that.
Ohio standout.
Yeah. We know his pro career hasn't been what we thought it was or what he wanted it to be. You don't gotta shoot him while he's down, basically.
Right.
Yeah.
And the other guy got a lot of shit anyway, so he's.
Because his was way worse. But I'm saying just because with Schefter, he's an ESPN person, and probably everybody gets alerts when he tweets because right away every athlete was on him, bro. They were at him. I think Lamar Jackson, a bunch of people. I was like, damn, like so.
Makes sense.
I mean, it was a crazy story. I'm looking at it now. I know the guy that was on the radio station was 90, I believe he was.
Yeah, he was 90. And he's former GM of the Cowboys. You could tell the good old boy mentality though, like just the way he talks and his phrasing. I was like, dude, like, come on now. Like, you just go ahead and come out and say you're racist. Like, you don't even have to, like, you're not even trying to hide it.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to go on to some better news.
Lighter note, yes.
For my take. And I know this is going to bother Ant. and his 0-2 Red Sox.
Oh, that's what we do.
It's early in the season, bro.
I know. It's like,
it's super early, of course. But, it's a hot
Go ahead.
start.
What are y'all completing the sweep today?
No. Yes, we are. Yes, we are.
That's cool. We'll see what happens that last match when we face y'all. I think the end of September when we really gonna be battling for position. We'll be battling for position. We gonna see because y'all always have a good start. Don't get me started with the Yankees. Y'all always have a
the Phillies always have a good start.
What happened with that face?
Yeah. That's what we doing on this
Los Yankees. Yeah.
Oh, my fault, Keith. I didn't realize you had a Yankee thing in the back too.
They're 2-0 though, so we can't. Hate on teams like the first week of.
It's a great rivalry. That's why
2-0, right?
Yeah, they are, but let's see what happens.
So raise your hand if
every year I get disappointed.
Raise your hand if your team's locked in the playoffs. Oh, you're not. It's a play-in. You got to win.
Yeah, it's still part of the playoffs.
It's the play-in.
Nah, not according to Adam Silver. It's an addition to the regular season.
Thank you.
My thing is
I'm rooting for your Spurs though. So
my little thing is let's go Yankees baseball season. And
whatever team Henry root for, I feel bad for. So go ahead, root for the Yankees. Just like you root for the Knicks. Root for the Yankees. Go ahead. I love it.
Hey, listen. I got the worst. Hold on. I got the worst football team out of everybody here, so nobody can say nothing. The Jets. Everybody cracks on the Jets. Just end the season already. So
and Jared.
Let's
go. Yeah, I'm a Jets fan.
Why don't you root for the Mets while you're at it? Just go Mets, Jets, Mets.
Hell no. I'll never be a Jets fan.
Even though you're a Giants fan. Yeah, I'm a Giants fan. We're right there, neck and neck. So,
yeah, but
the same stadium.
You guys won chips. We haven't done something since the 70s.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Henry's hurting over here. So one of his favorite teams got to win a championship sometime.
Just end the season already. That's the Jets.
No, and not only that, the Jets are in a terrible place in that division with the Dolphins going all out. Pats. Pats didn't do much, but the Pats are going to be the Pats. And then the Bills, sorry.
The Devontae Parker was a great pickup. I love that pickup.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, besides that, we got no offensive coordinator. What are we doing? like, how do you go from looking like,
figure it out.
One of the best organizations ever, right? To all of a sudden, you don't want to hire an offensive coordinator. It looks like you guys are going to just be winging it with a second-year QB. Let's just wing it. Like we're playing backyard football, you're gonna be drawing plays with rocks and sticks. You go this way, 10 yards out, cut left, you cut back to it. I don't know. Hopefully they figure it out, but I love the last move they made. So we'll see.
Gotcha.
We'll see.
I don't have nothing. I don't have nothing.
You sound better volume wise, by the way, Keem. It cleared up whatever it was.
Trade Russell Westbrook. That should be your.
No.
That's right. That's right. Do you want your 60 seconds to let them know?
Yeah. We already got the vibe. Most of us is wearing black. We got the vibe. So this is a eulogy to the wake. Okay, it's over for them. Put them wherever they going. It's over. For them.
I got one question. Are you mad at LeBron? Do you feel like the ankle injury looked bad? Do you feel like he just packed it up and was like, we don't got no chance, or do you feel like he really was hurt?
Honestly, LeBron has always been a person that he don't play. If he's really hurt,
he's not gonna play. Yeah, I know. I just wanted to see what you were gonna say.
But me at the same time, I want to get mad. If he looked at that team and said, "Man, fuck y'all, I ain't playing."
That's kind of how I took it. It was like fuck y'all, I'm not coming.
Yeah, because didn't he play that one game? At least one game with Anthony Davis.
AD's first game back,
and then he just shut down.
Yep.
And they could have made the play-in, but.
And I think he was trying to help out Russ.
Those two Pelican losses hurt them. That's what hurt them was the two Pelican losses.
He was trying to help out Russ. He was like,
I'm gonna say this before Keem raps. I'm gonna say this before Keem raps.
One thing nobody caught. Hold on, Henry, my fault.
Yeah,
one thing nobody caught is that 2 weeks ago, LeBron tweeted something like, "Oh, playoff mode activated," like he used to do. Like he was 22, 23 again, and he about to start tearing shit up.
Body didn't make it through.
And they continued to lose after that tweet. That's the part that had me dying. I ain't even trying to hate on the LeBron fans or nothing like that, because I respect LeBron's game. But it was just like when I felt for when I seen playoff mode activated, I said, okay, Bron, bet, get them in the play-in. That's what I like to see, right? And then It was just when did it activate? Was the button broken? Did it not morph? Like
it was delayed.
I'm telling you, bro. He was trying to help Russ. You're like, yo, Russ, the last few games carry us to greatness, get your confidence back, and then come playoff time, we good. All right, but I didn't have.
We getting Keem to talk about the Lakers. It's like him not trying to talk about Bruno from Encanto, so it's all good. You don't want to talk about it. It's all good.
Talk about the Lakers. I've said since the All-Star break they trash. I've been saying this like All-Star weekend, them niggas is trash. I've been honest. They're the worst team in the league by a landslide. But I get it. Y'all want to troll. I get it.
Yeah, because if they were the 1 seed or 2 seed, you'd be like, oh, brom this and brom that.
Of course.
Yeah, but everybody's gonna shit talk for their team though. Like if the Knicks were good, you guys would be fucking all over
last year when the Knicks was actually relevant.
I'm not gonna lie. I wanted the Knicks to make the playoffs just for the reason that I still have that sour taste in my mouth from that damn RJ Barrett game winner. And like
You gotta be happy that he didn't blow his knee the other day.
Oh yeah, no. I would. I'm a fan for RJ, so I'm happy he didn't either.
That would have been tough.
But it's just like the way that game went, and like my phone blew up. I don't gotta speak no names. Y'all know who blew up my phone. And
the plus side is now Obi gets to go off though. Like
for real.
Great. He been playing great.
Yeah. One more thing, and Keen's Pop said LeBron got more rings than Tatum and Brown.
Oh Lord.
So, You're gonna have to tell you that.
You also had
damn. Jeez.
I think it's because
what are you on this payroll?
I think it's because when y'all were calling him LaBitch, and you know Celtics fans had that phase when they was calling LeBron LaBitch.
LaBitch.
I never personally, like I said, I respect that man's game. He's on the Mount Rushmore of basketball players. Like he's done so much, and he's one of those players where I feel like he's not gonna really be appreciated or respected until he retires. And you look at that resume.
No, you got a whole damn generation that's in there
like damn
blasphemy of he's better than Jordan. Like you got a whole generation of social media out there, so he's idolized now. There is no when he retires.
It's weird because it's kind of like 2 generations. It kind of is like it really feels like it's 2. But yeah, you're right, Pete. You're right.
But that brings us to the end for this week's episode. It was a good episode, long, talked a lot about different topics, but it's playoff time. So that's what you usually do in playoffs. There's a lot to talk about. Look at the playoff matchups and all that excitement that comes with a playoff basketball team. Shut your ass up, man. Anybody clapping over? You was not clapping when your Celtics was losing. You was out here MIA in these streets. You was not even on the camera. Now you come.
I just feel the hostility of the Lakers not being in the playoffs.
Yes, because I'm a Lakers fan.
Full circle from the beginning of the episode to the end.
That's one of the oldest rivalries in basketball. I'm not supporting the Celtics out here in these streets.
You're right. You shouldn't.
All right, so since your Lakers aren't in, who's your team? Who's your team to win the title? Like
it better be Phoenix after fucking.
If your team is at least in the play-in.
It better be Phoenix. What's that little? Funny. You did not think your team was gonna be in the playoffs a fucking week ago. You was nervous. You're talking about who in the playoffs. So funny. Everybody got jokes. Man. What are you laughing for, Henry? You a Knicks fan. You ain't been nowhere near the playoffs for a long time now.
There goes the rim we were looking for. Go ahead, King. Go down the line and kill everybody. Go ahead. That's all we wanted. That's all we wanted.
I got one comment. This is a power brick. This is what cost you brick. West brick cost you the playoffs.
He said Westbrook. Okay, here we go with the Westbrook jokes. Here we go.
All right, so we doing a full episode of playoff matchups next week, or are we gonna split it up?
I mean, if I want to do each respected conference, and then we do each respected.
Let's
conference.
just do that next week. Yeah.
Did you hit N?
No, I didn't hit N.
Because I feel like we're talking like the podcast is done, but we still live.
Y'all came in hot with this Lakers.
Go ahead. Finish.
This the extended cut, my fans. Like
somebody got.
That's usually what happens after we hit stop on the record button.
Someone got to defend the Lakers for Laker Nation one time in these streets. But that's now. This is the end. No more Lakers slander. Gonna come in hot while I'm in the middle of trying
1, 2, 3 Cancun.
Yes, I've been saying Cancun. Yes, don't worry. Doc Rivers and Joel Embiid will be there soon. It's okay. Don't worry about that.
Doc will find his way to LA soon.
Doc is gonna come back to LA. Right. So, but that brings us to the end for real this time. If you missed any part of the episode, you can catch the live version, the recorded audio version on our video version on our YouTube channel. If you prefer the audio version, you can listen to it on Anchor, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. And like always, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you on the next one. We out. Slenderbeard.